What's up, Matt? Thank you so much for jumping on the AIM podcast.
Man, great to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. This is a special episode for me because you have played a bigger impact in my life than you realize. And so I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to share your story because you have an incredible story. So I'm pumped for this one.
Heck yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing about that. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll talk about how you've impacted me later in the episode, but I want to first turn it over to you. I want you to kind of share kind of just to set the tone, just some context about where you're from. Obviously, our listeners will hear that you're not from the United States, and just kind of how you got here, how you're currently the head strength coach at Furman for men's basketball and everything. So could you talk to a little bit about that?
Yeah, the accent is a little bit different. So I'm from England. I came out here to play college soccer in 2012, or 2010 to 2012, at West Florida, which is a great school in Pensacola. So that was my first exposure to like college athletics. And then I played pro for a year. I went home. I was personal trainer for a bit, and I kind of got bored of just training your average Joe, to be honest. I got bored of training like parents. I wanted to train more athletes that were driven and motivated to be their best. And so I ended up coming back out to do a grad assistant role at a school in Alabama, Alabama Huntsville for 2 years. So I did that. Was an intern at Tennessee Chattanooga for 3 summers. Was fortunate to work at the University of Florida for 10 months with men's and women's tennis, assisting those men's and women's basketball, assisting them. And then I had men's tennis was my main team. And then from there, I came to Furman for my first full-time job. I've worked with men's and women's basketball, just men's basketball, and now men's basketball and men's golf in my 3rd year, going into my 4th season at Furman. So love it. Greenville, South Carolina is a great place. I get to wear a lot of purple, which is, I guess, is all right. You just get used to it. But.
Hey, I worn some purple before. It's a little different, but yeah, man, no, that's incredible. I love it. It's cool to see all the different places you've been. What would you say pushed you or motivated you from an early age to get into obviously you have an athletic background, but to get into the coaching side of things?
Yeah, it's funny. I always used to, I guess, reflect on it. I always used to read like men's health, men's fitness magazines when I was a kid and when I was a teenager. And I always prided myself. I got a twin brother, and I think we always prided ourselves in being the fittest in our team. And just we used to go for runs together, play down the park together. Like we used to do all that stuff together. And it got to a stage where even at college, I was still reading that and I was still kind of providing snippets of info to like my teammates. And I was like, wow, this is actually quite nice to be able to share this. Like, hey man, why are you doing this? Like try and focus on that. So I honestly think from there, it kind of, and obviously how you do things is who you are. So what you do is who you are. So in terms of me acting out of, going to bed earlier and doing extra fitness and training, like people would be curious about that. And so I think my enjoyment to share that and to try and encourage and uplift others really probably got me interested in strength and conditioning. Another thing that got me interested in strength and conditioning when I was an athlete out here was just the environment. Like the weight room in West Florida was sick. Like my was like this baseball dude, but like he really cared about us. Music was great. Like every time I went in there, they either like eating, having a protein shake, training, or just like, cutting up. And it was just such a cool environment. So, yeah. And let alone like the actual sessions and the programming of that. And so I think from there, I'd never really been interested in coaching soccer because I got too frustrated at an early age of like, why are they doing this? And I was just like, you know what, like the physical side of it is really more interesting to me. And I think that's where my skill set lies. And so I kind of formulated the two between the coaching and the teaching and the physical performance aspect. So
I love that. I think it's cool. And I think you talk about a lot of interesting things, like your experiences in your past kind of shape how you look at things. And I had a similar experience. I mean, when I transferred to Western and I redshirted, you know who I'm about to talk about, but Jim Wilson had an incredible impact on me as a strength coach. But I genuinely just enjoyed being in that environment, like being in the weight room, pushing myself physically, which then ultimately pushed myself mentally. And I could see how it was affecting other places in my life. And I just fell in love with that, like self-development, that consistent, like pushing myself to be better than I was before. And I think there's so many cool things you can look at when you're talking about why people get into health and fitness and why they make it a bigger part of their life. And then not only to make it about making them better, but then to go out and like be a coach or be someone that's a personal trainer and help other people kind of have that same experience, I think is really special.
Yeah. And like the mental side of it in here, it's like all this mental toughness training. It's like, what's really tough is having a hard workout in front of you and just completing it, like getting through it. But, hey, you got 6 exercises, you got 6 rounds. Like, by the way, the last 2 are bike and rower, and you're like, wow, it's gonna be really tough. And then the feeling at the end when you're drenched in sweat and you're out of breath and you're like, wow, like I pushed myself. And that's just like a really satisfying feeling. And it's almost like a little drug, I guess. Like, man, I want to do that again. And
Yes.
and you might wake up and be so tired. And then it's like, but if you do it and you get through it, then you're like, you know what? Like I can do more than I thought I could. And like the mental side of it is so good because even, in struggles of like wanting to work out, it's like, strength coach are regular dudes. Like sometimes like, man, I'm tired. If I just do a couple of sets, warm up, I feel way better.
I
Where
love
rather
that.
than just going, yeah, I won't do it today. If I get on the bike for a little bit, get the blood flowing, my mindset just changes. It's just about taking that first step. And like I say, the mental resiliency you get from working out and consistently doing it, I do think carries over into your everyday life, and you're able to handle challenges better outside the weight room. So that's a real cool component of this place.
I really do love that, and I agree 100%. Like personally, I've starting the marathon training and everything, I've tried to knock out the runs in the morning, and there are plenty. Like I'm not gonna lie, there are plenty of mornings where I wake up at
Yeah.
5 or 6, and I'm like, man, I do not want to go run right now. Like it's dark outside, there's no light, there's no sunshine. It's not gonna feel great. But dude, you get through that, and then you're like, I'm ready to absolutely destroy this day. Whatever's in front of me, I'm going to attack it. But it's like just that one little hurdle you just have to get over, and then it's like it changes your whole mindset. And I think I agree, dude. That's so true.
Yeah. And it's like, I much prefer, I tell you what's harder is running in the afternoon. Because
Yeah,
it's sometimes I had all this morning was weight groups, and I'm like, man, do I run today? And it's like, okay, now it's hot, and then it's like, and I like running and having plenty of time afterwards to like, when you finish, you crush that run, you're like, right, I'm gonna crush breakfast, like, let's do this. It's like if I run now, it's like, man, I got shower, got practice, like I'm gonna be so. And then at the weekends, I'm like, I have to do it in the morning because, like I say, if it's in the afternoon, like it's getting hot, and also be, it's nice to wake up and at the end of your run, it to start be light. It's starting to be light again, and it's like 8, 9 a.m. and you're jogging past people with their coffees, and that gives me another edge. It's like, yeah, like I've been running for 2 hours now. Like
I
it
love
just
that.
makes you feel good, and then you can go have your drink, you can go get whatever. But to be out there and you see a lot of people out there, and that encourages you as well. And of all fitness levels, you're like, man, like these guys out here, like with a headlamp on, and he's like a 12-minute mile, but he's out here. Like I respect that. You
That's
know,
the game.
it gives you a push, and and everyone's friendly. Hey, morning. Yeah, morning, nod. And you're like, it's that close community, and like I say, I know we're both how we're both wired. Like it gives me an edge of like, ain't no one else doing this.
I love it.
Like ain't no, and that kind of makes you feel good as well.
It adds to it 100%. That's a big part of it for me. I love outworking people, but I want to dive into your story. You've kind of shared the context of getting to Furman, but you've had events in your life that have definitely been not everyone goes through. And so I want you to kind of talk about that, kind of what it did, and then kind of where you are now, because I think there's more to kind of your story there that's really powerful.
Yeah. So my big event recently in 2020 was getting heart surgery. And I was born with a heart murmur, which I didn't. When I went to my first college for 3 years, they didn't pick up on it. It was only when I came out to America, I had my medical where they saw I had the murmur, and so my mum's obviously like, "Oh my gosh, can you play?" And this, I was like, "Mum, I've been playing for 3 years. I'm as fit as can be. Like it's all good."
My
But
mom would too.
like it's just the
Yeah,
mothers.
right.
Every year from then, I was getting checked up. So I had like an echo scan, EKG, and all that. And it was actually in 2020, after we played a conference game, I got a call from my cardiologist after a scan, and he was like, "Hey, like," and he doesn't normally like persistently call, and so I was like, "Okay," and he just told me like, "Look, like I know we talked about surgery at some point. Like I think we need to probably go ahead with that this summer, just because your heart's getting a bit too big. There's too much regurgitation of blood, blah blah blah."
Wow.
And I was like, I just was like, okay, I held it together. I was like, my main question was like, okay, is this going to affect life expectancy? That was my main thing. I was like, hey man, like, okay, I'm going to get this surgery. Like, and he goes, no, if you act on it now, it shouldn't, everything. And so I felt a peace about that. And when I hung up with him, like I just started crying. I was in the car park. I was just like burst into tears. I was like soppy, like bad tears. I was like, wow, like this is tough. And the first thing I did was text my boss, text my head coach. I said, hey, I need to talk to you right now. And he came out, and I was still crying. He kind of calmed me down, and he was just a real big support for me in that moment. Like, hey man, you're good. Like we'll get through this. Like you've got faith in God. Like you'll be good. So I'll always
Yep.
remember him being there for me for that. And I just started dating my girlfriend now, fiance, and it was like we've been dating a week, and I had to tell her that as well. So I was like, hey babe,
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you. But again, her support was brilliant. and as it went on, and I felt fine, no symptoms. I felt fit as I could be, had nothing wrong, no shortness of breath, none of the usual symptoms. And so and I wanted to do it at the end of the summer. So this was before COVID, I found out. And then we had the COVID, and I went to meet with the surgeon in Charleston on March 11th. So literally right around where COVID was. And he was like, hey, yeah, whenever you want to do it, you can do it. Like, there's no immediate rush, but we need to within the next 6 months or so. Okay. So I said September, let's do it. I wanted to enjoy the summer. My thought of, hey, we're busy strength coaches, train the guys in the summer, enjoy it. I love state parks, go do that. And then when you get to the September period, when you have less weight sessions, do it then. And then it's funny, 3 days before my surgery, Furman had changed insurance providers. And I get a call from the administrator. She was like, hey, so like they've denied your surgery because it's like, it's expensive now. It's like a few $100,000.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Yeah. So I was like, okay, like, so this is obviously interesting. And my surgeon called me and said, look, like sometimes they do this. It's just because you have show no symptoms. Like your scans are what they are. Like I'm going to have a call with this guy and tell him you need it. So I was like, man, maybe God's saying I'm good. Maybe it was just a scare to like, just whatever, put perspective in life. Anyway, I got a call, and I had it scheduled for the October 13th. So it's coming up for that year anniversary. But a couple of interesting things there. Like it was really, really hard to video call my mom, my brother, my sister, my dad, separately and be like, hey, so I'm going to have surgery. And obviously with COVID there, my family couldn't be there for it. Which was just like, wow, that's tough. Like calling my mom and my bro and my family, like the morning of the surgery was like, all right, cool. Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, gonna, have the surgery. I'll talk to you guys later. Should be fine. Don't know about recovery, but we'll be good. I'll chat to you later. I had to just game face it. I couldn't be, I love you. Like, I just had to be quick,
right?
Game face. And even, when they put the IV in and, it's like, okay, we're going to take you back now. Like I had to prepare for that moment because Maria, my girlfriend now, fiance, was next to me. I was like, I've got to show like her that I'm good. Because if I'm like start to worry and get upset, like she's going to just have the worst 5 hours of her life, even worse than it's going to be for her.
For sure.
So I was like, all right, babe, quick kiss. And I was like laughing, smiling, all good. Went back there. It was like the craziest thing. You see the operating theater and then it's like, boom, lights out, So it was crazy. And the recovery piece was, it was odd. Like, the first 24 hours was really tough in ICU. And then I got down to the step down unit and I was actually in hospital for 3 days, which is pretty remarkable. And I think that's because of my age and because of my fitness. And so I always kind of say my main lesson for people, I guess, or takeaway is that, hey, like you just never know what life's going to throw at you. So be as healthy as you can be for as long as you can be. It's like, the chance of people getting cancer, of heart disease, of like accidents, like it's high. Like we live in a broken world. So like if I can just be as healthy as I can be for the future me, like especially having had heart surgery, like why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I see my body not as a as a temple, but not to idolize, but just to look after and respect? And it's really kind of flipped its head for me of 2020 was the year I got healed, is the way I like to think of it. It's like this is like a battle scar, like a healing wound, because I did have heart disease, whether I like it or not. I did have it. My surgeon went in there, cleaned it up. He also found a hole in my heart, which he told me afterwards. I was like, okay. Wow. And that's why the surgery took a little bit longer. So I was like, yeah, you just drop that in there like 2 days afterwards when you come visit me in the ward. But it was the year I got healed. So yeah, 2020 was a tough year for a lot of people. But I truly see it as like, nah, like I needed it done and I got it done. And thankfully it's like, every day, every week that went on, I started to feel better. I had some ups and downs in that period, but blessed that we're both now training for a marathon. Like, what I mean? Like, life's good. Not to get too down about it. Like I couldn't control any of it, but I could control my outcome and how I was going to be in front of my guys, in front of my coaches, in front of Maria, in front of my family. Like, especially as Christians, it's like, okay, I trust in Him and I trust in the surgeon's hands. Let's do it,
Wow. Yeah. I mean, there are two really big things that stick out to me personally is like gratitude and perspective, like looking at gratitude first. Like you hit it right on the head. The most important thing in my life is my faith in Jesus and like what I carry every day in terms of my faith and wanting to share God's light. But I'm not going to lie, like fitness and my health is super, super important to me. And to think like if something were to happen to me where I couldn't experience that, it would be really tough. And I'm sure you probably felt the same way, and that's probably why that initial reaction was tough. But it really does help you kind of come full circle and put in perspective, like, man, God's got a plan for my life. And with the thing in the hole in your heart, man, that could have been God kind of
Yeah.
setting this all up to prevent something from happening later down. Like, who knows? But I
Yeah.
think perspective is key. And just like you said, being so grateful for every opportunity we get, not taking it for granted.
Yeah, and like, you're only grateful for health when you're unhealthy. It's like if I wake up with a
Yes.
headache, like I'm pissed, I'm mad, I'm like, why have I got a headache? And then you just have a bad mood. And it's like, why don't we just wake up and feel great and be pumped about that? Because, and like I say, I've been in the situation where I've got like this incentive spirometer and I'm like I can't get any air out my lungs. I can't breathe in. I like laugh. I had to tell Maria, like, babe, stop telling like jokes. Like, stop making me laugh. Like, it hurt. Like every time I sneeze, and when I still sneeze, I have like a little pinch in my chest. And it's like, and it's almost like I'm good with it because it's a little reminder.
Mm.
It's like when I came back after 2 weeks because I wanted to come back and be around the guys. Like I would just sit down on a medicine ball and just, hey, come here, let's do this. But like that gave me a purpose, man. Like without a purpose, it could have taken me 4 weeks to recover. And even
Mm.
now, like being able to go for a run, like say getting up early morning, it's like sometimes I do have to tell myself, like, hey man, like remember why you're doing this run. And remember how good you're feeling, how good your lungs feel right now. Remember the fact you can sweat, which is nice. The fact you can sleep on your front. The fact you can shower on your front. The fact you can lift your arms out without hurting. The fact that you can drive your own car. The fact that you don't need someone to help you change.
Mm.
So it's like, yeah, okay, I'm good now. It's like a little pep talk.
Perspective. I love that, dude. That's so true. And that applies to anything anyone ever goes through in life. And I'm not like downplaying or discrediting any hardship that someone's going through, but there's always a positive way to look at something. And whether you can see it or not, trusting in God, like God has a reason for it, and you can grow from it. So I love that that's been your outlook, and you've been a light and just doing incredible things. I want to talk about what you're doing to celebrate this event in your life and how you've kind of overcome it, and kind of what you're training for. I want to talk about it.
Yeah, so in hopefully it'll be around next week actually, because it's about the year anniversary, October 13th is when I had it last year. So around about that year anniversary, I'm trying to run a marathon. Well, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm not sure what the pace is going to be, but I'm going to finish that thing.
Let's go.
Um, and I'm going to do it in my hometown of Eastbourne, England, with my brother who's getting married next Saturday. So I'm hoping to be there for the wedding. Still trying to work out visa stuff there, but again, God's plan. And I'm going to be there. And he's got into more ultra running, and where we live is just this beautiful part of the world with beautiful countryside. And I haven't been home for 2 years because of COVID. Haven't seen my family or my nieces. My parents
Wow.
haven't met my fiance. I haven't met my brother's fiance. So just all that emotional, like tied into trying to raise some money as well for the kids and the Sean Jenkins Heart Center. So just in running this, not doing it just for me. But I truly believe if I'm going to do something like this, like why not just, if I can raise $10, and luckily I've been able to raise more than 10, but like, I would encourage you in your journey with the marathon, like just do it for some charity.
Yeah.
I'll donate. I'll tell you that. And you never know how many people donate, and then at least you've just raised money, and so it's an added motivation for you when you're running this thing to be like, you know what, like, yeah, like it makes you, because we love to exercise. I love to run. I'm a former footballer, soccer player, like love to run. Now 26 miles, 0.2 is a long way to run, but
Yeah.
I'll still just enjoy it. But the reason I want to raise money for that heart center is because when you can first go on walks after your surgery, they help you up off the bed, and you've got this heart pillow, and you've got nurses with you, and you're literally walking so slowly. Well, you walk down and you can see a lot of other people in their respective, cubicles. And, some of them are like babies, like
Mm.
legit babies. And you're like,
Wow.
man, I'm a 31-year-old guy. Like, what are their parents going through? What's the kid doesn't have a clue what's going on, but like the kid is
Mm.
tiny. It's like, what repercussions is that for that kid's life and the parents? And, in finding out more about the heart center, I think 60% of people that have it are low income families and will have these surgeries. And it's like, well, what about helping them with, them having to miss work or like medical bills? And so that was just my motivation there. Like I wanted to do it for, and it could be a select family, like the hospital have given me that right to say, hey, we can connect you with certain families if you want. Obviously they can't do that because it's a biased opinion from them.
Right.
But it could just be that the stars align and God's got a plan for it, and I'm able to bless a certain family, maybe with a kid with a baby, or that's had the second surgery, and just say, hey, like, just take this few $1,000s, do whatever you want with it. Like, I just want to bless you with it because they have blessed me in their treatment. So that's my main motivation for it. And obviously, any of your listeners, like, I'll give you the bio, give you the link. Like, I just want to max out. Like, this ain't for me. This isn't for my bank account. This isn't to glorify me. This is to glorify the treatment that they do, because they are, we love to exercise. Like, my surgeon said that his zone, his in the zone, is when he's in the surgery room. Like, that's a gift from God, man. And
Wow.
if it have that gift, like, there'd be a lot of people struggling like me. So I'm forever grateful for that.
That's incredible. We will definitely get all your links and everything so we can promote on AIM and through this podcast. If you're listening, make sure you go check it out and make sure you support. I just love when people do something that's bigger than themselves, because I think that's the ultimate mindset of a servant, ultimate mindset of someone that, is really trying to have an impact in life. And I think that's what we try to do with this platform. But man, you're doing it at an elite level, man. I'm just thankful to know you and see someone out there, producing that kind of energy into the world.
Yeah, man. I look right back at you. I think you're everything you guys stand for. Like, it's awesome. Like, you're just trying to be your best every day. And it's like, I bet you, like, when you wake up, like, man, do I want to get up? Like, your platforms will be like, hey, get up. Like, that's inherently in the back of your mind. Like, man, maybe if I wasn't so active on social media, I might, like, just like, I've got to do this, because I, like, the worst thing I want to be, and I know the worst thing you want to be, is a fraud. Like, as a strength coach, like, I do
That's
not
right.
want to be a fraud. Like, I have to look after my diet. I have to look after my habits. I have to walk the walk. I have to talk the talk. Like, I have to follow through with what I'm telling for my guys. Now, I probably won't be able to do their workout. I won't be able to do practice with them. But, like, for me to even just go through this marathon journey, it's like, okay, like, I'm gonna have a tough session in the weight room, but, like, I'm gonna probably post something on my story about the miles I run, so I'm in there with you. Like, I'm doing something with, like, game day runs. Like, I love a game day run in the morning. Like, we do
Totally.
it as a staff, and it's like, I want to feel and go through hard, because when I'm sitting there watching us play against whoever, it's like, man, if I've just been lying in bed all day and, like, hey, I hope these guys play well, like, that just doesn't really do it for me.
That's so true. Honestly, like, I think that's one of the biggest things that I didn't consciously realize when I created this platform with my team, is that it's helped me grow so much individually, more than I would ever have realized or imagined. Like, we wanted to come together and, like, help people, but, like, the fact that we're helping people, like you said, like, it's holding me accountable. It really is. And it gives me an extra sense of motivation to dig down deep in those moments where I'm, wanting to skip or to lighten up. And it's like, no, like, I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to make an impact. And it's been incredible, man. I'm just grateful for it. And the conversations it's allowed us to have with cool people like you, or we can have these conversations, and hopefully someone listening can be like, get something from it and apply it to whatever they're going through. So it's special, man.
Yeah, just all it is an encouragement, right?
That's
Like,
right.
we're by no means saying you got to be perfect and you have to get up at 5 o'clock every day. Like, it looks different for other people, but
That's right.
we should be, as coaches, as encouragement and education. Like, hopefully, in sharing what we do, it's like, man, like, okay, why is he doing this training? Okay, this is cool. Maybe I can do that. Like, absolutely. And all I want to do to my guys is encourage them, my athletes, encourage them that they can be their best. And, like, it just has to be an everyday pursuit. Like, you can rest on the Sunday, but, like, you got to make sure you get back on the Monday.
That's right.
Still do stuff on the Sunday to optimize performance. But if we can just be an encouragement and not judgmental, not like,
That's it.
man, why are you only running 3 miles? Like, someone to run 3 miles, like, we just don't know the story. Like, just to congratulate everyone on and just taking a step forward and just working out, man. Like, it's such a blessing.
That's literally it. And it really comes down to the mindset. It's not about comparing yourself to other people. It's like, literally, just how can you be the best version of you? And it doesn't matter what anybody else. And if that's literally getting up out of bed one day, just to get out of the bed, like, if that's it, if that's what's good for you that day, then that's what's good for you that day. Like, just build on it, keep pushing, and, like, don't settle. I think it's the big message we're trying to push. So you said it perfectly. That's really good stuff.
And it's funny. I'm reading the Blue Zones book, which is about centurions in the world, and it's they went into some cities in America and they tried to incorporate the Blue Zones diet and lifestyle to cities in America, to try and improve their health.
Yeah.
What they found was, if a partner had started exercising and started eating better, well, then the other partner, the other spouse, started doing the same. because they wanted to encourage their spouse to do it with them. Like, say
Yeah.
your wife's trying to lose weight or whatever, or, you know, you're going to help with the diet. And so then you're in there together and you're striving to be better together. And so it's like, then it's definitely not a selfish pursuit. It's just encouragement. And then you're both trying to strive to be your best. But in doing that, other people are going to notice, be like, man, like, I want to get on board with this. Like, that looks cool. Like, I want to be my best. You know, and if we can have a world full of truth tellers with love and encouragers, like, man, we should be in a good place.
That's it. I'm honestly, sometimes there's got to be a spectrum. There's got to be balance. But like, I truly believe you either give energy or you take energy. And like, I want to give every single ounce of energy I can, because the people around you are going to be affected by it. And I think it's just so important. You have these conversations and you go out, you get encouraged, you're excited, and you're like, okay, let me go use my small platform to go help one person. And then that person is now energized and fired up, and they go help another person. And it goes crazy.
Yeah, we say you're either lifting energy or lowering it. Like,
Yeah.
you're not keeping it the same. You know, and as coaches, I remember good strength coach, Coach Rudy, who's at UConn women's basketball. I remember a presentation she did ages ago, and it's like, we have to be the thermostat. We got to set the temperature in the room.
I like that.
So it's like, not read it, we got to set it. And I was like, as a coach, I think that's really cool. You know, why can't we do that in our personal lives? And why can't we do that to encourage our friends and our family to be healthy? Like, just be good role models, but do it with zero ego. You know, like, we are not perfect. So the last thing I want to do is like, man, look at this guy. He's all showy. He's all this. It's like, I'm just trying to be an encouragement.
That's
like,
it, man.
If you run a mile, I'm so happy for you. Like, I'm trying to have zero ego. Like, just being normal, being a normal guy that's humble and hardworking is the ultimate goal.
That's literally it. I love that. How's marathon training going for you? What does that look like? Are you following a plan? Like, are you kind of doing it yourself? What does it look like right now?
It looks like a long run at the weekend. That's what I'm trying to do. So the last 4 weekends, I've done, say, over 3 half marathons. A lot of the time it's focused on time. So just we had like family weekends. So I'm like, okay, I've got to do 10 miles, and then I'll do 10 on Sunday. So it's like a 20-mile weekend. You know, I do 6 on the Friday. So it's 26, 3 days. You know, I'm trying to, you know, when I first did my first one, I would be like, all right, 3 miles 3 times a week, and then 4.5 3 times a week, and then maybe 4.5 and 6s. Like, I had the 12 weeks, and I was like, you know what, I think I can get it up to 15 to 18 miles, or maybe 20 miler. Once I hit 20 miles, I was good. Then I could taper back. I do want to hit a 20 this weekend. That would be great. That would give me a lot of confidence. I know I've got a good stretch of time tomorrow morning, so maybe that's when I do it. But I think if I can do a 20, I can do the 6.2.
Yeah.
You know, but you can never fully prepare unless you're running the track, like, unless you're running the actual route. You know, like, I know in England there's these 7 hills.
Yeah.
Sisters, and they're big. And I don't have that on campus. So,
Right.
maybe, you know, so honestly, I think a lot of it, and my brother's been helpful with this with his training, it's getting your body used, your legs used to just being under that strain for that long.
Mhm.
Like, that's where I just, you know, that feeling of, man, am I cramping up here? So this is what you want. You got to keep pushing that. So the next time you run, it's not at mile 12, it's at mile 15. Okay. All right. And we can keep, because your body adapts. I mean, that's why I love this job. I mean, your body's such an incredible machine.
Yeah.
Or, like, even the fact, like, say the surgery and it's healed and I've got a scar, it's like, what? Like, I was so puffy after surgery. Like, now I'm like, getting good. Like, you know, like, yeah, you just no appetite for 2 weeks, and then suddenly you have it again. It's like, so the body adapts, you know, and specific adaptation to impose demands. If I want to be, you know, if I want to be training for a marathon, I've got to put time in my legs. I've got to commit to that. And so it's been tough to kind of get a bit skinnier, but that's just my pride. You know, like, you're trying to do it where you're trying to keep that mass, and I respect that, because that's a lot more effort than me just being like training as a marathon runner, you know?
No, I love it. Are you doing any type of like, are you monitoring heart rate at all? Like, are you keeping track of that during your runs? Or are you just kind of trying to stay easy on like longer runs? Like, how are you doing with heart rate stuff?
I don't use heart rate myself. I just do Strava. So I look at my times. So like yesterday was like, I want it to be a quicker session, and then tomorrow it might be a longer session, and then, or medium session, and the weekend will be a long session. You know, I've seen some good stuff about that, but honestly, for me and my schedule right now, it's more just, okay, I need one long one a week, and I can see my total distance per week. So I should probably do some Tuesday, a little bit Wednesday. I want to beat my total from last week, so tomorrow needs to be more than I did last Thursday. But definitely the longer one at the weekend. I've liked your heart rate stuff, and you've been setting your pace markers. Like I said, for me, I'm just trying to do this thing with my bro. I know for you probably got a target pace in mind, just knowing you and knowing like you want to keep in like zone 3 or something,
Oh gosh.
which is great. No, it's great because, you're, won't offend you here. Like you're younger, you are in way better shape, but it's like, that's your mindset. And I love that. Like, why not try and be your best when you do something you've never done before, and maybe it's just because my second rodeo and I did 352 my first time around. And I know this one's going to be infinitely harder just because it's a trail marathon. So it's going to be on some road, some, field, some forest. So I know it's going to be longer, and I'm not putting any pressure on myself for that because I know it's going to be hard, whatever it is,
I love it. I think it's cool. I'm honestly impressed just the way, I mean, you've obviously been doing this for a long time. Like, no disrespect to you, like you're still young, but you've had a lot of experience with fitness and with training and everything like that. So like, I'm definitely following a plan. Like, I'm enjoying it because I've never been able to have, this is a conversation I've had with a bunch of people, but like, I love basketball. It's been incredible. It's opened so many doors, allowed me to meet so many incredible people like yourself. But I'm so happy right now and just the freedom of training and fitness. Like I just love it. And so like I always felt confined to like do what was good for me on the court, but now I can do stuff like this, and who knows what I'll do next after this. But it's been fun for me, the mental freedom of just like exploring what I can do physically.
Oh, I completely agree. And even for me as a strength coach, like it's so when I first got into this professional, it's like so nice for me to train how I want to train. Like I didn't have football practice. I didn't have football lifting. I was just like, do what I want to do. But then, after having done it for a few years, you're like, okay, I do miss the goal setting aspect of it. Because like we are competitive. So like for you to set yourself this goal was great, And I did a Tough Mudder back in the day, and like which was like 13.1 miles or whatever. And I've like said, I've done a marathon, and I'm not in a CrossFit. So like that's never been a thing for me. Like I want to be this CrossFit athlete, but this has been fun for me. It's like, like I've got to run today. Like I've got to prepare for this goal because it's like, and when I hit it, I've said to myself from now on, like I want to do at least 2 good runs a week. Like I love the condition I have right now, and that's going to help me when I go back in the weight room and do higher volume work. But like for me, a lot of the weight room stuff, if I just focus on that, like that's purely, it's kind of going down the lines of like body idolatry. And I'm like, you know what? Like I'm good. Like if I want to smash my arms today, I will. If I want to hit my legs, I will. Like I like the freedom of that. I just want to be healthy. Like because the fit versus healthy, I just want to be healthy. I think that's what the heart surgery's taught me. It's like if I want to go for a 5-mile run, yeah. If I want to go for a 2-hour bike ride with my road bike, yeah. If I want to go for a 3-hour hike, yeah. If my guys want to challenge me in a strongman competition, okay. If I need to run a 10 with them, okay. I don't want to pigeonhole myself. I want to just enjoy it. I don't have any pain in my knees. It sounds so old man right now. Back issues. Like I just want to be healthy. And so I love I try and give the guys a holistic program, and like I like that for myself,
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I feel the same way. I think this is why you and I connect on so many levels. But I love fitness. Like I love every aspect. I love lifting heavy. I love the feeling of a pump. I love the endurance element, both physical and mental. Like it's just I love hit stuff. I love hit training. I just think it's fun to put yourself in different environments, different situations, and just take so many different things from each of them and like just use it in life. And that I get excited talking about it.
Yeah, no, man, it's cool. Like, when I was at Florida, we did do like structured lifts, and it was great because but I mean, that's the biggest I've ever been. And I'd try and go for runs on the swamp on a Sunday. I'd try to do some like stadiums. I'd be gassed, and I'm like, this isn't the fitness I want to have. Like, I want to be able to just go for a run like this. They're beautiful mountains in Greenville. Like, I want to be able to go for a trail run. Like, I get such joy out of that. So it's also the longer you go in life, the more you're like, you might find that road biking is great for you. Like I could see you getting into that. Like no pressure on joints, especially after your knees getting pounded by basketball for years.
All right.
Okay, or maybe you get into CrossFit because it's a mixture of all of those things. Or like a Tough Mudder. Like you just never know. And that's the beauty of just being fit, healthy, and available. Is like, man, where do I want to go next? Like, that's cool.
I love it. I love it, man. This has been a really, really fun episode. You've brought so many cool elements to this conversation. Wrapping up, just kind of the final question. And this is, I think, where you can maybe just take this however you want and go with it wherever. But what kind of advice, motivation, anything you want to leave, like lasting thoughts with someone that might be listening that just has something unexpected going on in their life that they didn't necessarily plan for, that's kind of hindering their progression, because obviously, with something like you had to deal with, that was kind of unexpected. It was not something you were planning for. How to get through it and then to move on past it and continue on in life. Like, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I'd say as a Christian, I'd say first off, definitely pray about it wholeheartedly. I think that there's something towards praying at night when it's just a thanks for the day, blah blah blah. Or it's like heartfelt, like I need help in this. So I would say pray about it wholeheartedly, and then I'd also say tell someone else. Because the way to get through a bad day, if I'm going through a bad day, is to help someone else through a bad day, and so you never know what someone else is dealing with. I'm not trying to downplay anyone's issue there, but you never know what someone else is dealing with. And it could be that there's common ground there, or it could be that all they needed was like, oh, I thought you were being off with me. Like, I thought oh, thank you for telling me what you told me. Like, that makes so much sense how you behaved the last, you just never know. Um, and so I would say tell someone, if it's family, if it's friends, like just pour out your heart, have trust in that person to keep it a secret if you need it to. But just telling someone will alleviate that pressure from you. And you'll now know that someone else is praying for you and someone else is in it with you. And they might be the first person to say, hey, like, I know so and so can help you out. Or like, hey, let's go for a walk. I know you're really trying to do this, or I know you're struggling with this. Like, let's go for a walk. So I think honestly, I think spending time in nature is such a blessing. Like,
Mm.
so if anyone is just struggling with anything, just put your phone down, because sometimes these things can be toxic. They zap our time. They zap our mental energy and our focus and our concentration, and we get no deep work done with them around. Just go for a walk, unplug as it were, and you'll find that you're actually able to problem solve some things, and go for a walk with someone, and just leave the phones in the car, or put on flight mode, airplane mode, and just use it for pictures, but go for a good hike. But I think definitely praying and telling someone else about it is a really, really good first step.
That's amazing. I mean, I completely agree. Obviously, I see eye to eye with faith being the driver there. I think that's important. And I love the aspect of community. I think that's something that people need. I think that's, as humans, we crave it, like deep down, whether you want to admit it or not. But community is so powerful, and being able to come to other people and talk about the good things in life, but also the things that you're struggling with, I think is really, really important. And so hopefully people listening know that AIM is a place where we can do that. Having you on, I mean, I would like to consider you AIM fan, like you're a part of this. And yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome. So I really appreciate you being on. This has been an incredible episode, and I cannot wait to see you crush this marathon, not for yourself, but just for the bigger purpose of why you're doing it and everything you've done. So Matt, thank you so much for being on the AIM podcast.
Heck yeah, brother. Keep being great, man.
All right, man. Thank you.